Good morning and welcome to Our Issues Milwaukee. I'm your host, Andrea Williams. Our focus this morning is on local organizations that are working hard each day to help make a difference in our community now and for future generations. My first guest is Ian Bautista. He's the Senior Director of Civic Engagement for the Greater Milwaukee Foundation. How are you, Ian?
I'm doing well, Andrea. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Well, I appreciate you being here because we know just from past guests from the Greater Milwaukee Foundation being here that you believe that all voices are vital to our region's future. You promote equity and diversity, all while inspiring philanthropy. So if you would talk a little bit more about the organization and what you offer to the community.
For sure. So the Greater Milwaukee Foundation is Milwaukee and the Milwaukee area's community foundation. It's over 100 years old now. In the past half decade or so, it has oriented its work, meaning its investment, but also its influence work, which is really where I come in, around racial equity and trying to promote the growth of especially brown and black communities here in the city of Milwaukee, but the overall Milwaukee area. And we've done that through grant making. We're also doing that, like I mentioned, through our influence work and civic engagement work, trying to get leaders that have influence to pay attention and to prioritize the areas of growth that the city of Milwaukee and the overall region needs in order to get ahead and to make sure that we're not leaving any Milwaukeean behind.
The Greater Milwaukee Foundation has been on the cusp of what's happening in our community and beyond. So let's talk about your role as the Senior Director of Civic Engagement. What have been your thoughts on navigating through these things that we've witnessed so far this year?
Yeah, so an interesting kind of real quick story. My first day with the foundation was on March the 9th. So I worked about a week in the office and then they said, okay, work from home from now on.
Right.
And then we very quickly moved into this pandemic response that I have been involved with, and then partners from really all across the civic sector, philanthropy, the public sector, corporate leaders have been involved in ever since that time. So over the past 3.5, almost 4 months now, we've been focusing our effort to try to meet the needs that exist and that are disproportionately affecting Milwaukee's brown and black communities, heavier than the rest of the city related to the pandemic, but also most of the kind of the precursors to the pandemic and the resulting economic hardship were really present and alive, prior to the pandemic itself. And so we've been trying to simultaneously address the needs around food, basic necessities, early childhood education, physical health, mental health, et cetera, while at the same time looking forward to the economic recovery to try to even up the outcomes, especially as it relates, again, to the hardest hit zip codes and neighborhoods by the pandemic and the economic hardship, which just happened to be, Milwaukee's predominantly black and brown neighborhoods. And so we're simultaneously trying to look at how we can even up the economic outcomes for those communities, not just recover, but to try to get back to a place where it's an equitable performance compared to the rest of Milwaukee.
Yes, and you have what you call the MKE Civic Response Team.
Correct.
So let's talk about the collective work that's been done through this initiative based on all the things that you just talked about: early education, healthcare, mental health, all of those things that, like you said, the pandemic has really highlighted as showing that there are inequities in the black and brown communities. So this was launched in March, correct?
Correct. So we had a kind of an emergency or priority phone call that my boss, Ellen Gilligan from the Greater Milwaukee Foundation, and then Amy Lindner from United Way of Milwaukee called with the mayor and some of his key staff to try to understand what the priorities were in response to the pandemic. And so as a result, we lifted up 6 teams originally that relate to those areas of work that you just mentioned, Andrea. And we recruited pretty quickly leaders that could, serve as kind of the convener in each of those teams to address the food systems challenges, to address, the physical health misinformation or lack of information, what school kids and their families were facing, what early childhood education centers were wrestling with as well. And so we quickly lifted those teams up. They've been all pretty much meeting weekly or bi-weekly since that time in mid-March, and doing amazing things to try to help those sectors, and really looking at how they can cross-pollinate their work as well, and address some of the structural and policy changes that need to happen in order to even up some of those inequitable outcomes. Then over the past month and a half, we have started to lift up a team around economic recovery for the seventh team within that construct, so that they can start looking at jobs and workforce readiness. They can look at small businesses and commercial corridors. They can look at home, holding ground and gaining ground and home ownership, really with an eye toward enhancing the wealth of Black and brown households, with an effort again to kind of evening up the outcomes economically for those communities and those households, so that we can get ahead as a city as a whole.
Yeah, and it's really imperative that you guys team up with the business sector, the community sector, those who are philanthropists who want to help make a difference, who have the means to help make a difference. And some of the things that we've talked about would be the food, because when kids were told to stay home and be homeschooled, we had the situation where if they're not in school and they don't receive those meals that they normally receive on a regular school day,
Right.
then you've got a household who is sitting in a situation where they not only are dealing with the pandemic or maybe not being able to go to their jobs, but their children are unable to eat. So you had a food delivery pilot, and that was another collaboration that seemed to work very well, keeping in mind that we are still in the middle of this pandemic.
Yes. I mean, I've been impressed by the level of innovative thinking, the level of generosity among all of the sectors, and just the willingness to roll up our sleeves collectively and help. That food pilot that you mentioned, the Tandem restaurant, which is a favorite of many, was feeding people in their neighborhood anyway. Just kind of out of the mode of operation that they have and their connection to the community, but with some additional resources, with some additional kind of community engagement and outreach through Metcalf Park Community Bridges. Uber stepped up to the plate as well. The World Cafe, Chef Andre kind of invested some resources as well into Tandem that then they shared with other restaurants in the area to be able to prepare meals and then organize the delivery right into neighborhoods, so that families and households didn't have to get out and about and risk exposure to the virus that way, but they were also able to eat and stay healthy. And when you look at the menu that Tandem and some of the other participating restaurants had, I'm very envious. They ate well and very healthy, very planful and thoughtful around their nutrition. Like I said, I was just floored with the generosity and the innovation that team's leadership, which include Gina Stilp from the Zilber Family Foundation, Danielle Nabak from UW Extension. And that's one example of the 7 teams where people just really thought innovatively, and they stretched beyond what they normally do as professionals and as community leaders, and just got involved and solved problems without much thought about what the cost to them would be or what the effort was going to take, and they just did it.
And you guys also partnered to develop a health and safety toolkit for businesses that are maintaining or actually seeking to resume operations, which is very important, especially when we look at the economic outcome of this pandemic.
On a few different levels, different organizations have a different profile of needs, and so the early childhood education team has been working with those early childhood centers to look at what they need to be able to reopen. The economic recovery team is starting to look at those small businesses, like you mentioned, to figure out what they need to reopen. But then on the very basic level, the mental health team has enlisted the participation and the commitment of several community organizers and community-based organizations to put together toolkits for average Milwaukee citizens citizens so that they have access to the information, masks now in light of the Milwaukee Cares ordinance passing, so that they have access to all the information that they need to stay mentally resilient and also informed about what is required of them as citizens, so they can then spread that communication to their friends and family and the people that they have influence on.
This took a toll on a lot of people on a lot of different levels. So that was an important leg to add on to everything that you're doing, including the rental housing resource center, because you had a lot of people, and still do for that matter, who are trying to figure out how they're going to make that rent payment or make their next mortgage payment. So you did not leave this particular concept out either.
We have the good fortune of having so many different organizations involved with the civic response effort that some of the great work that was happening maybe disparately, we were able to connect it to other efforts in that sense. And so you have awesome organizations like SDC, Community Advocates, the Urban Economic Development Association that got together to be able to put some of those resources together and present a united front. We've been encouraging Milwaukeeans ever since the very beginning of our effort to call 211 when in doubt. And if they have a question or they feel like they may need a resource, to call 211 and to plug into the resources and the system that they have to be able to connect them to those resources. And it's been a wonderful, wonderful partnership.
Yeah, and I think it's important as we wrap up to mention that the Greater Milwaukee Foundation, and as I stated early on in this conversation, I've had many guests on because I really did admire the work that was being done when it came to racial justice, equality, and inclusion. So there was a commitment made back in 2017 that dealt with the very uncomfortable conversations that people sometimes don't want to have about race, especially here in a city that's described as one of the most segregated cities in America. So the On the Table MKE actually inspired thousands of individuals across the metro area to engage in these conversations and take action to improve the quality of life in our communities. So when you look at the peaceful protesting that's taking place now, it's safe to say that the Greater Milwaukee Foundation was definitely ahead of the game in steering these conversations and making sure that we moved in the right direction when it comes to that subject.
Absolutely. I would say, again, thanks to my colleagues who preceded me, at the foundation, they've been investing in that dialogue work and enabling people to have those conversations over a number of years. But I would also say, I feel like some of the best work is still yet to come from us. Simultaneous to the civic response team, we also had a fund for financial help that was set up, and a number of other philanthropic investors put those up as well. One of the things that we're going to be doing in the future is also helping to support some of the Black and Brown led organizations that are advocating for change so that we can invest in their leadership and their capacity to continue this momentum for social, economic, and racial justice forward into the future.
So very important. And Ian, I thank you so much for joining us today and talking about this very important subject and how the Greater Milwaukee Foundation continues to make a difference.
It is my pleasure. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Ian Bautista, he is the Senior Director of Civic Engagement for the Greater Milwaukee Foundation. To find out more about the MKE Civic Response Team and all that the Greater Milwaukee Foundation does, you can visit greatermilwaukeefoundation.org. When we return to our Issues Milwaukee, we'll talk to the Executive Director of Voices de la Frontera, Christine Newman Ortiz, and we'll do that right after this.